What's happening, Hoopheads? It's time for a little box score recap here with Phil Boileau from hoopslounge.com. First game on tap, Dallas Mavericks losing big time to the Indiana Pacers, 107-81. Top scorers, you had Raymond Felton with 16 points for the Dallas Mavs. Indiana Pacers leading the way with CJ Miles. All around, kind of a subpar effort on both sides. Indiana, kind of impressive. I guess they're beating Dallas at this point. I think they're kind of proving a lot of people wrong, including myself, who thought they'd be a lot worse than this. I can't wait until a couple of my guys like Miles Turner really take the floor and get their minutes where it's due, but he's dealing with a left thumb injury, so we'll have to wait for the next Shaquille O'Neal, that's a joke, to hit the floor. The Orlando Magic took the Charlotte Bobcats 113-98. I'm pretty happy about this. Not a huge Charlotte fan. A little balanced scoring overall for Charlotte, with their leading scorer being Jeremy Lamb, cast away from the OKC Thunder a couple years back, and the Orlando Magic, again, balanced scoring all around, but this is actually a good and up-and-coming team. Interesting plays here. We have Aaron Gordon, who continues to come off the bench. We had Victor Oladipo, 25 minutes off the bench. He's been a starter forever. Bring Evan Fournier into the starting lineup. They're trying a bunch of different lineups. I think this is one of those teams that's just going to kind of peck you to death with a lot of stars and not one guy who's your superstar. I kind of liken this to kind of the Denver Nuggets of the East. We'll see if this actually turns into anything. There's a lot of promise here with Mario Hezonja and such, but we'll see where they go. But at least a W, and they're plus 500. The Miami Heat, the team that I predicted would have one of the top records in the East, beating the lowly Nets, 104-98 leading score for the Miami Heat, with Dwayne Wade showing his old school self, 28 points, 5 rebounds, and Jarrett Jack leading the way with 22 points and 10 assists for the Brooklyn Nets. Also 25 points from Brook Lopez, and as usual, only 6 rebounds. The guy, considering he's 7 foot, I don't think rebounding has ever been in his vocabulary. The Detroit Pistons pulling a squeaker off the Boston Celtics, both of them slightly over 500 right now, as are many teams in the Eastern Conference for once. Leading scorer, actually, Isaiah Thomas having a really killer game. 38 points, 12 from 20 shooting, 11 for 11 from the free throw line, and 7 assists. Kind of a monster game there. But aside from that, not much happening. Andre Drummond, another double-double, 16 points, 12 rebounds. Contavious Caldwell-Pope, as myself and Justin Rowan have been saying in the offseason, is really stepping up his game. Great shooting percentages all around, 31 points. And backcourt mate Reggie Jackson continue to have a solid season, 23 points, and some balanced scoring all around. After that, we're going to jump quick. There's a lot of games today. With the New York Knicks, the slight edge over the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is the play of kind of co-rookie of the year contenders, Karl-Anthony Towns and Kristaps Porzingis. Karl-Anthony Towns coming away with 25 points and 10 rebounds. 10 rebounds actually had by 3 of the starters, Gorgui Dieng and Ricky Rubio. Ricky Rubio kind of had an interesting stat line here. 9 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists, and 8 steals. He almost had a quadruple double. Actually wasn't that far off. Not shooting great, but at the same time, he's setting his guys up for success. Andrew Wiggins with another 20-plus point game, and Zach LaVine again. I've been saying this forever. Strong off the bench, 9 for 20. A little tough from three-point land, but still 19 points in that effort. Kristaps Porzingis, since we wanted to bring him up, had a huge block night. Only 11.6 rebounds. But we say only because we're expecting a lot more out of this guy. 20 points and 15 rebounds and 9 assists, almost a triple-double from Carmelo Anthony. A lot of haters, including myself. He's showing them up, including myself, Aaron Aflalo, 29 points, and some other guys coming off the bench. The Atlanta Hawks putting the Philadelphia 76ers to sleep once again. This is going to be the Ben Simmons year, I'm guessing, for the 76ers. That's kind of all they're playing for. Leading scorer Isaiah Cannon. So we can skip right past the Sixers because nobody really cares. And the Atlanta Hawks leading the way. Paul Millsap, balanced scoring. Jeff Teague, Al Horford, nothing new there. And we had Dennis Schroeder with 17 points off the bench. Mighty Mouse there. Potential 6th Man of the Year candidate one day. Who knows? Chicago taking on Memphis. Memphis again having trouble scoring points and having Zach Randolph coming off the bench. Interesting side note, he was kind of commenting on coming off the bench. Feels like a starter, but maybe this is best for them. They're really trying to use the roster they have and make it work in a kind of a modern up and down system. But as you can see, they're struggling to score points, and Chicago doing fairly well. Jimmy Butler leading the way with 24 points, and Doug McDermott McBuckets 17 points off the bench. We had the OKC Thunder, 106-90 winners over the Portland Trailblazers. Trailblazers having some nice backward scoring as usual. This is where most of their points come from. CJ McCollum with 24 points leading the way, and Damian Lillard with 20 right behind him. And Mason Plumlee, a nice little offseason trade from the Brooklyn Nets with 14 and 10. When we look at the OKC Thunder, we again have some balanced scoring. Enes Kanter doing his 12 and 13 off the bench. He's been a nice surprise. Not the best defensive player in the world, but he's putting up rebounds and points. A little bit of an off game for Russell Westbrook, only 5 for 15, 13 points, 5 assists, 2 blocks, which is nice. And Kevin Durant leading the way scoring-wise, 24 points and 7 rebounds. Interestingly enough, we expect more from guys who are both averaging 27, but if you look at the minutes column, none of them had to play that big. They kind of had this game in the bag almost the whole way. Just to finish off the last few games, only 4 left. San Antonio taking Washington 114-95. High score, again, MVP candidate Kawhi Leonard with 27 points for the San Antonio Spurs, and some nice basic scoring all around. This is bench play at its best. This is how you stay fresh for the playoffs. No surprises here. San Antonio cruising to yet another W. Washington on the scoreboard, we're having John Wall kick back from a poor game last game for 20 and 11, so a strong outing here. Only 6 from 18 from the floor, but 7 from 8 from free throws, so he's making up a bit there. Gary Neal getting the start, having some injury issues on this team. I don't know. This is going to be a team that's it's interesting, but I don't expect too much. And 22-5 Spurs. People talk about a lot of other teams. Don't sleep on the Spurs. We had the Pelicans beating the Utah Jazz, really missing Rudy Gobert, obviously, at the center position, being led by Eric Gordon, Tyreek Evans, Anthony Davis. No stats to really jump out, but Ryan Anderson upping his trade value. He's been involved in a lot of trade talks in the offseason. Even right now, 24 points off the bench, 5 for 10. Great shooting percentages, and Drew Holiday, who continues not to start on this team, bringing some pedestrian numbers. I wouldn't be overly shocked if that guy's moved as well, considering they traded him for Nerlens Noel. They could have had the block party. That's a bit of an interesting one. Utah side of the ball, 22 points coming from Derek Favors, another guy that was grabbed off the Brooklyn Nets by another team and having success somewhere else. Gordon Hayward with 20 points and just some balanced scoring between 4 and 9 points along the way. The Pelicans pull out the W in this one. 2 games left. Golden State continuing their winning ways after dropping a slightly odd game to the Bucks to have their 1 loss in the season. They continue the winning ways. They're now 25-1, beating the Phoenix Suns quite handily by 25 points. The Phoenix Suns being led by Mirza Teletovic with 24 points off the bench. Great shooting percentages. Starters led by Brandon Knight, who's scoring the ball, but not many assist numbers. I mean, you're getting Drew Bledsoe with 8, but only 6 points. There's something wrong with this team, and I'm not a huge fan. 43 points from Klay Thompson. They seem to go back and forth. I mean, we call it pedestrian, but 25 points from Steph Curry, 16 points Draymond Green. This team just keeps chugging along like the little engine that could. And the last game on tap, we have the Clippers bringing the Milwaukee Bucks back to life. Back to reality, I'll say. Beating them handedly, 103-90. When you look at this box score, a couple guys can put up some points for the Bucks, but they just don't have it. There's something wrong. And obviously, missing Greg Monroe to his knee injury is really hurting them. Miles Plumlee, I guess my doppelganger, gets to play, so I'm happy about that. They're bringing off Antetokounmpo off the bench, so obviously this is a team in disarray, trying a lot of different lineup moves. And the Clippers, who a lot of people had, really high up there for a regular season finish, and just look like a hot mess right now, being led by Chris Paul, 21 points, JJ Redick, 19 points, and Blake Griffin, 15. A little pedestrian all around. Anyways, this has been covering the box scores here for hoopslounge.com for December. This is covering for December 16th on December 17th, 2015. Catch you next time in the lounge.